Beautiful. So thank you everybody for joining today. Today we actually have a very interesting, I guess, conversation. And this is a conversation, will be kind of a live conversation between a CFO and a chief revenue officer, a chief financial officer and a chief revenue officer on how, when we think about digital transformation, how can actually use financials to guide leaders and managers on how to manage labor, supply chain disruption, and all those kind of things. With no further ado, actually, I just want to first present our speaker today. Jerome, if you can please give just everybody kind of an idea about who you are, what your organization does, and things like that.
Okay, great. And Jim knows me very well. He's one of my clients. Phyllis should be joining as well. I am Jerome, and my company is FinQuest Financial Services. We do everything from bookkeeping to accounting, fractional CFO work, the whole 9 yards. And we also do systems integration, and that's why we have linked up with Sahir and his group on the systems integration side, because he's got a full range implementation team, and especially for businesses that are growing. So when you start to get beyond the capabilities of QuickBooks and you start to look at growth in your organization, it's great to start looking at a different paradigm for your systems. So that's it. I'll turn it back over to you, Sahir.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jerome. And just since we're speaking about us now, so we're Flawless and Bound. We partner with Jerome in the region, and we carry two brands. We carry the HubSpot brand and the NetSuite Oracle brand. So for some clients who maybe they want an enhanced CRM for their business, we usually lead with the HubSpot brand. For clients, exactly as Jerome is saying, where there maybe they outgrew their maybe QuickBooks or Sage system, and they're looking for an advanced financial platform that can do a lot more, we actually lead with the NetSuite brand, especially for small to mid-sized business. And we were successful implementing 200 plus actually implementations before. Just for everybody on the call, Jim and team, we actually have a tool called Digital Transformation Value Assessment. We'll make sure we'll send you guys this as well. It's a nice questionnaire to let some business leaders think about how they want their business to grow and mature. So we'll send you guys this tool afterwards as well. So just for FYI, I just thought to put it here. We know that when you're working with a CFO like Jerome or a financial institution, one of the key things is kind of maybe sometimes the CFO will come back to you and say, hey, we maybe need to change this platform to enable other sides of the business for you. And we know that sometimes it's not just the technology platform, it's the partner who's helping you in the journey is as critical as the platform that you're embarking on. So that's why we're so happy to actually be partnering and working with Jerome in the region to help him and his clients, and also bringing him to our clients as well. Those are sample of clients we worked with before. So wholesale, distribution, manufacturing, software as a service companies, consulting, resale, the whole 9 yards. And we were very grateful to work with great clients from ranges from $5 million revenue to $200 million revenue, depending on the range in the US and the Canadian region. Now, Jerome, let's go for the real meat of our conversation today. Tell us more about what you're seeing in the market. As a fractional CFO, how clients deal with that.
All right. Thanks a lot. So there's a lot of dynamics that are taking place in the marketplace today. And when you look at it from a financial perspective, those dynamics have an overall impact on the quality of performance of your organization. It certainly impacts the profitability of your company and of your business. And in some cases, you may say, well, I'm a supply business or a service-based business, and what's happening in the marketplace today doesn't necessarily affect me because it's much more product oriented. And I would say what's happening within the marketplace today affects businesses across all domains, whether you're a service-based business, like a consulting business, or whether you are a product-based business, or even an e-commerce business. It all has an impact on you. So what's today's reality? Well, today, we've got a number of things that are taking place. So here, if you can advance the screen there. One more time. Okay. If you'll back up just one screen.
Just one, sorry. Yeah. Let me go here.
One more.
No, give me 1 second. Maybe I did something wrong here in the slides.
And while you're pulling it up, I'll just go ahead and jump right into today's reality. So today, we really have a number of things that are affecting businesses across the board. We've got supply chain shortages. And if you order something today, and you think that product is going to come in and you had a typical lead time of a week, that product now may have a lead time of 3 weeks to a month. And that affects your business in major sorts of ways, right? It affects your ability to fulfill demand coming in from your customers. It affects just a whole host of different things that are taking place within your business. And then we've got labor declines and labor shortages. There are wage pressures that are taking place. You're no longer competing as a small business with the other small business next to you. You're competing now with the Amazons of the world and the Walmarts of the world who are increasing their labor wages. And so that means that your ability to go out and recruit and bring in talent is now being affected because you've got places like the big boxes or even your McDonald's that's offering a standard $15 an hour to start. So that puts pressure on your business as a whole. And then we've got price pressures, right? From the supply chain shortages that we're experiencing and the oil price increases that we're experiencing within the marketplace. All of those are creating a pressure on prices, right? And so prices are starting to increase, but consumers aren't pulling back on their spending. They continue to increase their spending levels. And so once again, that has an impact on your ability to fulfill demand and make sure that you are appropriately priced within the marketplace. There's market volatility that's taking place. And when I talk about volatility, I mean everything from the S&P, you've got different and new entrants into the S&P. You've got what's known as cryptocurrency that has entered into the marketplace. You've got SPACs, which are special purpose acquisition companies. All of those things are creating a major flux within the market. And again, each one of these items individually by itself may have an impact on your company, your business, your organization, but collectively, they're having a massive impact on small businesses. And many small businesses are having to pull back, are having to close their doors. And so you need to have information that's going to allow you to preemptively see what's taking place inside of the marketplace and give you the ability to respond to what the marketplace is doing. There's higher inflation that's taking place. We've got the highest inflation level today than we've had in over 30 years, over 3 decades. And then naturally, you've got the pandemics. You've got many different variants. You got the Delta and Omicron. All of those, again, are changing the way that we do business in general. So here, okay. And so what does a business leader do with all of that? Well, the first thing is to consistently review, look at, and assess your business, your organization, and figure out how you're positioned, and then also review what's taking place in the marketplace. You can't be insular. You can't just look internally. Now you have to look external to see what those marketplace dynamics are doing and how they may affect your overall enterprise. Adapt your organization to the changes that are taking place. We've seen the adaptation taking place with COVID. We've seen businesses that were in-person businesses shift and make the switch to online businesses. But we've also seen those businesses that didn't make the shift fast enough, and those businesses had to close their doors. So you've got to, again, have insights. You've got to have data. You got to have information that's going to allow you to quickly flex and adapt your organization. Pivot. By pivoting, what I mean is to respond to those demands in a very, very swift way. And that means turning your business on the side for all intents and purposes. If you've got to shift your business because of what's coming down the pipe with the market, you want that ability to have the information well in advance so that you can shift your business and then adjust. Adjust just means what are the inflection points that are taking place that are pressing against your business that says we've got to do business a little bit different. We've got to conduct business in a different way than we did in the past, and this is how we're going to do it. And the business leader has to stay on top of those sorts of things. Next.
And Jerome, maybe I want to just agree with what you're saying, because you said review, adapt, pivot, and adjust. And I think we need, as business leaders, when we think about that, we need to redesign how we do things to more cater to work the customers. At the end of the day, our clients is really what pays the bill, keep the lights on, then help us grow and transform our business. So while I totally agree with you, Jerome, as a CFO, as a chief revenue officer, I can also say that while the business leaders are doing that, they also need to measure where the clients are buying. How are they buying? How are they engaging with us? Either you're B2B or B2C, the buying process has changed dramatically. And I know that maybe some leaders on the call today might be more in the B2B space, not in the consumer space. I would maybe advise and urge that even if you are in the B2B space, and we are, by the way, focused on B2B, always monitor how your consumer are behaving, because eventually it will trickle in decision-making with other business services that you're bringing to business leaders. What does that mean? This means that actually those consumers or those other businesses that you're giving service to, they want agility in communication. They want to make sure that if you have inventory, you need to update them on inventory. They want like immediate reporting on when is the shipment coming? Can you guarantee shipment time? And so on and so forth. So some of those things that we have seen that is bubbling up on the consumer expectation, as if I'm buying something from Amazon, for example, somehow this expectation is trickling in B2B organization. Jerome, so then I think that brings us to the other conversation of what are the market forces and market dynamics that you have seen from that perspective?
Yeah. Thanks, Zahir. And I was thinking about what you were talking about relative to, if you are a business and you're looking at the marketplace dynamics that are taking place, and you say, look, I know how to get ahead of this cycle. I'm going to go ahead and increase my inventory levels or stockpile supply so that I can respond to the forces in a swift and agile manner. That may be good in one way, but in another way, that may have an overall impact on the profitability of your company and of your business. And so, again, you need data at your fingertips. You need data that you can quickly access that's going to allow you to make those types of decisions swiftly. Small businesses really need what I would call comprehensive supply chain, end-to-end solutions, right? And another term that we use is from cradle to grave, right? From the time that an order is placed to the time that the order is delivered, that the customer receives their solution. You need visibility and insight into that entire chain of processes that are taking place. You need good, solid financials and reporting solutions that enable you to respond to these marketplace changes and adjust your business in new ways. From a market leadership position, if you'll go back one, leaders really are looking at their financial data to analyze new opportunities and to help them navigate away from catastrophic events and catastrophic threats. As a leader, you really have to consider, do I have enough information that will allow me to clearly think through what the existing and current landscape is saying, while also having enough tools that allows you to navigate or steer the business in a whole new direction.
Beautiful. And I think as a technology partner, what we have seen when we were implementing what Jerome is saying is we need at our fingertip as leaders to get what we define as return on management. What's my return on management? So I'm managing this business, I'm managing this division. How can I get the best out of me, out of my managers, to make sure that the business is going the right track? So while we're working with Jerome, we kind of start brainstorming on platforms that actually can help you in forecasting your sourcing ability, your fulfillment ability, your warehouse, your stocking, your order ability, and so on and so forth. What we also have seen that maybe traditional financial platform maybe are limited in that sense. So we went out and we started looking at other platforms that actually are cloud-based, that can give the leader the ability to log in from anywhere and be able to connect all the dots so that they can understand and forecast where the market really will be going and then plan accordingly. Hence why we're suggesting the first thing, and hopefully, Jerome, you agree with me, that as a CFO, you really want to make sure that you are taking decision depending on real numbers, because usually numbers tell a story. So one of the things you would see here, for example, that when you're looking for an enhanced financial platform that can evolve to really an ERP solution for you, you want to make sure that it gives you the overall kind of technicality of financial management. So Jerome, I'll let you lead maybe with some of what should be basic financial reports that can be easily for a business owner to run quickly without going into Excel sheets in and out and things like that.
Absolutely. And so here you're absolutely correct. You want to have insightful financial data. That's what I would call integrated across the entire spectrum of your business. So it's got to touch everything from your inventory management all the way through your actual delivery cycles. You know, how am I delivering to my customers? What time frame am I delivering products to my customers? Are my products priced correctly? Am I looking at my cost of goods sold? Do I know the impact of my cost of goods sold on the overall gross profitability of the business? Those sorts of things, you want to have your fingers on that pulse. Are you running budgets and financial forecasts? Is your data accurate? And so this is really, really important because a lot of businesses will pull together that data, but they're not 100% sure that they're making good qualified decisions because they're not certain if their data is accurate. So data accuracy and then data integration become pivotal for businesses to be able to make decisions. So I'm just talking internally. And then you've got externally. You want to be able to, for those businesses that are growing and growing at a rapid pace, you may have investors, you might have private equity investors, you might be looking to take your business public. Again, you want data that's going to help you make decisions about what information you share with the public, what information you share internally with your own organization, and those types of data information is just absolutely critical. And you've got to have systems and technology that capture that data that you can get your hands on in a very swift sort of a way. So here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we have seen is that sometimes maybe you start your business on QuickBooks or in Sage System or Xero. Rightfully so, that was the right platform then at that time. But then the business starts shifting and growing rapidly and even pivoting sometimes. Maybe you want to expand to different states. And maybe you have different tax schedules and tax brackets. And maybe you have different closing periods. So maybe you close your books 12 times a year. Maybe you close your books each quarter. Maybe you close your books 12 times a year, plus 4 times a year because you do quarterly, and then you do also 1 year end at the end of the day. So now we are enabling clients to do what we define as the virtual close. And the virtual close really means that if you have the right financial platform in place, the system is balancing and closing itself. And of course, with the help of Jerome and his team, they're kind of adjusting and optimizing. Bank reconciliation, what if we can automate some of that for you? Journal entry, charter of accounts. Then on the other side, I think, Jerome, you touched base on budgeting versus actually. Usually when you start the year, you have a budget. This is the things that I want to do. This is what I'm budgeting for. This is my hope for top line revenue versus gross margin versus net profit versus EBITDA. You need to go back and revisit this budget versus actual, maybe on a monthly or a quarterly basis. And we have seen clients doing this even more often than none, especially during the last year and a half, which was very interesting because of COVID and things like that, so that they had to quickly pivot and move in the right direction. And again, how much time does it take you as a leader to run financial reports and prepare them maybe for your board of directors, maybe for external or even for internal decision making? If you said that those financial reports take me more than 1 hour a week, then we have a problem. Then this means that you're not getting best return on time. for management and things like that. So this is maybe a first step, a sign maybe that maybe you need to look at a different advanced platform that can help you, your CFO, and your bookkeeper to actually do things faster and better for you.
Okay. So there's two segments of what we're talking about here. We're talking about the financial side, and then we're talking about the system side. On the financial side, what I often think about is financial planning and analysis. And from that perspective, what you want to consider is, am I thinking about diversification? Am I looking at product diversification at some point? Am I looking at service-oriented diversification? What product lines do I need to introduce and when in order to reach my client base and to grow my client base? Are there new markets that I need to go after? When do I actually hire? What's the right time to hire to bring staff on board? What impact is that going to have on the overall profitability of my company? And then you want to look at, do I have the ability to forecast my company growth? Can I put together a pro forma based on different sets of scenarios that might take place? Am I able to lead my business ultimately to profitability? And that's just the whole financial planning analysis side. That all requires data, requires good, solid information. On the systems integration side, you look at things like, do I have an integrated set of systems that are also connected to an integrated set of processes? Do I have predictable workflows? Are there things that are firing off within my business that I don't necessarily have to cause or to create to fire off because of the way I designed it? I designed it once, and it was designed in such a way that it follows a cycle and a workflow, and it allows me to touch my customers, my clients, my suppliers, my vendors without me having to be deeply involved in the process. Do I have information that I can roll up and roll down? Can I roll my information up into monthly or quarterly or semi-annual or annual information? Can I roll it up into jobs and job classes? And do I have that capability to disaggregate data and bring it down so that I can see individual clients and the impact that we're having on those individual clients from a day-to-day perspective? And then you want systems that are going to support your overall business rhythm, the way that you work, the way that you do business, the pulse of your business, the heartbeat of your business. You need systems that are going to allow you to do that, especially as you grow. Right. Again, what Zahir has said is when you're a smaller organization, it's not as important. But as you start to grow and grow and grow, you really need systems that are going to pull all of this together for you so that you can make good, solid, sound decisions, which we call data-driven decision making.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And you know what, Jerome, when we're working with clients, now we start going deeper into the technicality. What does that really mean, you guys, right? So then how we do things is we work with your clients and we start understanding, so what's the process? Let's say when you say, guys, I want to enhance my sales order fulfillment process. As a CEO, as a founder, or even as a manager of a business unit, I need to understand exactly the steps it takes for a sales manager or a sales leader to do things. Oh, and by the way, can I automate and optimize components of that? So for example, basic things about pick, pack, and ship. This is a business process. If we can take this and digitize it fully on a system, like for example, NetSuite. So NetSuite have a module, besides that it can do exactly what QuickBooks is doing, it can automate completely this process for you. And we can adjust and optimize it. So you can report on each and every stage of that process. You can forecast if there is any bottlenecks, so then you can adjust and optimize. Jerome, you spoke a lot about supply chain disruption. Now, if you have a platform like NetSuite, you can actually see that there's a bottleneck happening. So you can adjust and maybe have local supplier versus international supplier to start fulfilling better for your business. How about order to cash?
So here, can I, this is John here. Just wanted to add one point to that, sales order fulfillment. NetSuite in its most recent release, now what the system can do for a business is, based on an account that gives you the maximum profit margin, if you are running into very strict timelines because of the holiday season and you don't have as much inventory due to the supply chain disruptions, the system itself, based on whatever gives you the maximum profit margin, whatever accounts, it can reallocate inventory to make sure that those accounts are replenished and customers at that end are kept happy. So you can automatically receive system generated recommendations on which accounts that you need to focus.
That's a very beautiful insight, John, because that's now using maybe AI and analytics inside the platform to be able to actually make the business leader. That's amazing.
Correct.
And then maybe, and thank you for adding this, John, and then maybe taking to the next level, which is order to cash processing. That's another business process. Can I automate it? Can I enhance it? And then here is one thing. Some businesses now, exactly as Jerome said, they are forced to do online, to do e-commerce. Great, so they build the website and then they're trying to figure out e-commerce. But how about the back-end process? Did you think about that? And is your existing financial platform, can it connect the dots end to end? Again, with a platform like NetSuite, it's ready for, if you have point of sale, marketplace, or e-commerce, we can actually bring the platform to connect with your existing process. Maybe you're accepting manual entry, CSV import, creating sales order. Maybe you have an approval of a sales order rejection because maybe you have discount, different pricing structure or different pricing tiers. Then as soon as you start approving the order, then you start doing the order fulfillment, invoicing the client, collection. So all these processes, you can completely digitize it in a single platform, not a multiple platform. Which, Jerome, I think bring us to, from an overall integration perspective, how would business leaders think about that?
Absolutely. And so, again, when I talked a little bit earlier about the pressures, the marketplace pressures, one of the things that I talked about was labor shortages. We're all experiencing it. It's sweeping across every sector of the industry. And so that's all about people. One of the things that I consistently focus on for businesses is the combination of people, processes, and technology. You've got to have good, solid people. You've got to have streamlined processes that connect those people to the work that they're doing in the delivery of products and services to customers. And you've got to have technology that automate those processes ultimately. And I call this the optimization quotient, right? It's integrating all three of those components and being able to shift and move and rebalance your organization based on what's going on. A primary example, once again, I'm just going to go back to what's taking place in some of the big box retailers. If you look at a Kroger, for instance, they recognized that they were having manpower shortage issues, and they started to move more toward manless cash registers, so that customers can go to a cash register and they can ring up their own products and they can pack their own products and they could actually walk out the door. And so what that did for them is they were not as reliant on having to hire and bring in and train cash register agents because they now have a technology that allows them to continue to operate the business, whether the people are there or not. So again, this whole integration of and understanding the impact of people, processes, and technology is absolutely critical. Next.
Absolutely.
Supply chain dynamics. So when I talk about supply chain dynamics, really what we are thinking about here is, and we talked about this, and Sahir touched on this, is end to end, everything that's taken place inside of your business, right? From the original creation of a order to order delivery and cash collection. But As you well know, there are external forces that are affecting your organizations today that we call disruptors, right? Supply chain disruptors. Those are things that you just naturally cannot see, or if you can see them, you don't necessarily know what to do about them. And if you don't know what to do about them, you can't necessarily address them. And so in many cases, you need insights, you need the technology, you need a lot of what Sahira was talking about that gives you a complete insight and examination of what's going on internally and externally to your organization so that you can plan for it and you can forecast what changes need to take place within your business. Next.
And Jerome, this is kind of where we start seeing now that some organizations are either embarking on technology or maybe going to fully e-commerce, digital e-commerce, or maybe doing both, or combination of. So this is, for example, a sample of a client where they had kind of the order manager trying to understand where are the locations that I need to stock more products on. Can I have my client pick from that store or not? For some of the clients, maybe I can start the purchase from online, but actually pick from the store. Some clients, they want to maybe order online and then ship to them in-house or to their homes. So we find that regardless of what business process you have, when you're trying to pick the right platform, you need to make sure that your platform can understand that, can curate for something like this. So for example, there's a scenario here where let's say you have an order store location, customer actually can select which location to pick from, or the customer actually can do the order from completely an online commerce. By the way, NetSuite as a platform, you can build a full commerce website on your website with NetSuite. You can look and feel like an Amazon shop on your website. You don't need to pay the millions of dollars to be like an Amazon. You can be empowered with a small platform like NetSuite to actually do some of that. You can even auto-create the fulfillment request. It goes to the fulfillment manager, and then from there, you can actually adjust to where the item should be picked. You can even text the client to say, by the way, you can now pick your item from that location, or even you can ship it directly to their homes. Another scenario we have seen is maybe for some of the clients, maybe you have a wholesale distribution model, or maybe you have a multi-location for inventory. So NetSuite also can have advanced platforms or advanced modules, that you can actually enable those, we call it distribution centers, and it can measure the utilization of each and every distribution center. So back to proximity. So maybe you want to expand outside of the city or outside of a state. Maybe you're outsourcing actually distribution centers for you. So NetSuite actually can integrate. They have the 3PL, and they can integrate with, and they can do a lot of things online as well.
Thanks, Sahir. Sahir, I did have a question for you. Back on one slide prior, you talk about products here. Does this same concept work for services? So if you got a customer or a set of customers and you need to send services to those customers, will this same platform and philosophy work under a service-based organization?
Absolutely. NetSuite actually have modules to do like more of, send, let's say, a truck to a home or a consultant to a business location. And you can actually schedule of when the consultant will be there. So there's a full project management component or kind of a fleet management component in NetSuite that actually can do that. So now NetSuite doesn't just become your financial platform, but also it can be your project management, fleet management platform as well. And it's from a single dashboard, you can report on all of that. Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. So this morning, I happened to pick up the Wall Street Journal, and I was reading an article that said that the U.S. job openings continue to far outpace the number of available workers. Think about that. The actual job openings far outpace the number of available workers, with nearly 5 million more open positions than people who are actually seeking work. So in those types of a scenario, you really do have to look at, do I have the information, again, that's predictive enough and preemptive enough to allow me to make decisions, quantifiable decisions in short order form if these sorts of environments affect my business, right? If you can't get workers, you can't get workers fast enough, can you respond? Can you flex your business? Labor shortages have become a norm, especially during the pandemic, and wage increases really are putting massive pressure on small businesses. May not be as much so for large businesses, but for small businesses, for certain, it's a pressure cooker. And so you need data and information that's going to allow you to quickly adapt your organization across the board to these marketplace pressures and demands. On the right-hand side there, you see sort of a picture from ADP. And as you know, ADP is utilized by the Department of Labor to figure out what our labor market's doing, right? And what number of jobs do we have open, how many people are jobless, so on and so forth. And you see that we initially had some growth, but then it started to taper off. So what that says to me as a financial leader is we may not necessarily be able to account for a growth again, or long-term increase in labor supply. And so that means you've got to flex your business and change your business model in the event that that doesn't occur. You don't want to try to change that business model after you figure out that labor is not coming back to the market. And I've had enough conversations with business leaders to know that this is a real issue that everyone's dealing with, and everyone's challenged with it. And those who are able to respond the quickest tend to be those who have the best data at their fingertips.
And Jerome, I completely agree with you. I was also reading an article about the big resignation, right? So there's a lot of people kind of resigning right now. They want to take a year off. They want to take vacation. Yes. They want to work remote. So then now that actually kind of forced the business leader to say, okay, how can I enable the business maybe with less people? Can I do that or not? Is it even applicable or not? And this is where now you need kind of to do more with less. And this is actually where technology even play a more critical role. It's not a nice to have anymore. It's like a must have to be able kind of to do better. And to be honest with you, it's not just about doing more with less. You might be having great people in the organization, but you want them to focus on what they do best and take the basic mundane functions and automate it as much as you can. And I think that will be critical as well, kind of when you're looking for a platform for growth for you.
Absolutely. This next picture shows what's taken place. I picked a specific segment of the market, the housing market and construction. And as you can see, there are tremendous price pressures taking place that started the mid part of last year. And so that price pressure, and I'm sure most of you are feeling this, they impacts supply, impacts materials. It's impacting everything across the board. Now, you may say, well, I'm not in the construction business. I'm not in the housing business, but there's a ripple effect that moves across the entire market, right? And so if the cost of supply goes up in the construction market, that's going to put price pressures on the service-based market, right? That's going to put pressure on the ability for realtors to sell houses at a standard rate. They're going to have to increase the amount of the cost of housing, right? And so it's just sort of a ripple effect across the entire market. And so the question again becomes, do you have enough data? Do you know how to look at that data and that information in a way that allows you to make decisions and adjust your business to respond to those changes? Next. So this is a lot of information. and I tried to keep it high level. But I want to say that it's important to lead your organization by the numbers. Right? There are a lot of people who are leading their organizations and don't pay attention to the numbers, but you absolutely want to pay attention to the numbers. Anyone can hold the helm when the sea is calm, but in the midst of a storm, that's where it really, really counts. And do you have what you need at your fingertips to take advantage of growing your business, creating additional profitability while a storm is actually taking place? We live in a rapid business environment with many, many changes. And that business environment requires the ability to be flexible, to be nimble, to adapt, and to swiftly adjust your business model to meet these new marketplace demands. And the question for you is, do I have what I need in order to be able to make those adjustments in a timely fashion? So here.
Jeremy, I totally agree with you. And I think when we start looking at clients and environments, we see that usually order inventory, frustration, shopping experience, website synchronization, ongoing integration cost. I think businesses need to take a closer, serious look into that, especially right now, on how to become more agile and how to break the silos in operation. I think the other thing also that we have seen is, just as a conclusion, why sometimes companies decide to switch from one financial platform to the other. And it was loud and clear to us. It's the functionality. How can we do things better? How can we do things faster? And it reminds me of Tom Cruise when you always say, I need for not speed, kind of speed, but more functionality. And just in closing, what we have seen that a lot of business during the last few years, we're doing something called digital duct taping. Rightfully so, they started with QuickBooks, rightly so, right? But then they start adding a lot of applications in. So now I think it's the time for them to see a single dashboard that they can actually see everything from, so that then they can take swift decisions as fast as they can. And this is a single dashboard, cloud-based, that tap into everything they're doing, their CRM, their inventory, their finance, their consultants who's going out on the road, their fleet services, everything. They understand exactly how my revenue, is it up, is it down, my net profit, my EBITDA. And in conclusion, we actually are advising all our clients to think about this model of a unified customer experience platform, where you can actually run everything from a single dashboard. And again, NetSuite can a platform that can give you all those ability to do everything that Jerome mentioned today. And we did help a lot of clients doing that. So just as a reminder, I know we're going to open it now for Q&A. I will make sure that to add this tool in the chat today. Feel free to go to this link. It just will ask you a question about where you are, where you evaluate yourself more from a systems perspective, and just to kind of give you an ability to see where you want to go and where you want to do things. I just want to, Jerome, thank you so much for your advice today. It was very valuable. I learned a lot from you. And just for other people on the call today, Flawless and Bound, we're actually a digital transformation partner, and we help clients if they want to transform to a more enhanced financial platform, working closely with Jerome as kind of the CFO for his business as well and his clients. We usually lead with two platforms, NetSuite and HubSpot. HubSpot is the marketing and the CRM. NetSuite is your financial platform that can be your inventory management platform and so on. So I'll pause here and open the floor maybe for questions or feedback.
Jerome, I have a question regarding labor shortages. Now we see that it has become more intense these days, right across the business landscape, irrespective of the sectors. But speaking to business leaders in manufacturing, labor shortage has been a problem for them for a long time, even before the pandemic hit. So do you see that trend continuing? And how do you differentiate that? And what advice do you have for a company that has been facing this problem as a more recent challenge after the pandemic? Like, do you have different advice for these sectors?
Absolutely. And so John, great question. You're absolutely correct. This trend continues. It's a trend that I see and forecast will continue decades and decades going forward. There are many things that businesses can do to flex and to adapt their businesses for this challenge. One is automation. Right, so we're going to look at digital automation. There are many different tools out there, from AI tools to robotics that can be utilized, and that was why specifically I talked about even in the supermarket and grocery stores. Right, they recognize those shortages, labor shortages that were taking place, and they began to forecast the impact of those labor shortages on their profitability. And so you want to look at technology, you want to look at automation, you want to look at things like AI to help and to assist with filling those places where you may have had people and you can't recruit people, but it's still a job that has to be done. The other thing that you can look at is outsourcing. And so when you think about the world, you don't want to think about the world simply as the world that exists within North America. We have an entire world that we can take advantage of, from Asia to India to Africa to Vietnam, across the board, right? You can still pull resources to help you get things accomplished. So that combination of global outsourcing and technology, I think, are absolutely pivotal to helping you meet that labor shortage demand.
Well, excellent question and excellent answer. However, I am in a service business, as you know, Jerome. I never had this problem before. I've been in my industry for 45 years. I have never had the problem. I would put on an account and say Biloxi, Mississippi, and my wife, the first thing she would say is, "Who's going to clean it?" And I would say, I don't care. I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And I've always figured it out. Now, it's ridiculous out there right now. It's crushing. Yes. At this moment, it's crushing. And we pay our people very well. People make $20 an hour and more across the board, but we still can't find good quality people. So that's my number one concern. I have taken a back step from the thing I love most, and that's sales. That's what I love to do the most. And I'm not even trying to sell right now, because I'm just trying to work on the labor shortage. That's what we do here all the time. I've got an interview in 7 minutes. If he shows up, that's another thing. We get like 10 interviews set up, yes, and maybe 2 will show up. Yeah. 2 might show up. Yeah. And out of that 2, you'll be really lucky if 1 can even fog a mirror. Oh. Okay. So it's a challenge. That's the real challenge. And in a service business, it's suffocating. So yeah, not Jim, to be negative, because we're going to figure it out, yeah, but I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and Jim, you're absolutely correct, and that's universal, by the way. So these folks signing up for interviews and not showing up, that's across the board. Phyllis, I think in your organization you experienced the same thing. Is that correct? I think you might be on mute there. Not sure if you can hear me. But Jim, I hear that coming in from so many businesses, that they will put out a job request, and the people will respond and then just not even show up. That was unheard of 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, right? What they're doing a lot of right now, and Jerome, Melissa used to say this to me, and I resisted it, but I think it's true, is people are, the unemployment system in the US is so broken. It's so broken. There should be checks and balances. There are none. So if somebody wants to extend their unemployment benefits, they have to submit a list of companies that they applied for. So they answer our ads, right? Kind of answer our ads. Then when you ask them for the next bit of information, they either drop off or they set up an interview and they don't come in. So I guess what they're doing is they're able to say, well, we applied to Ridley for a job, right? And they're able to fill that blank in on their form or computer screen or whatever they do. But you're right, it's not just our industry. And I think other industries like plumbers and electricians are having a harder time because their guys have to be certified, licensed, and whatnot, you know?
And so I think that, and so here, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I think you really have to be exceptionally creative, right? Extremely creative. And to add to that, part of what's happening in this new economy is digital economy is you've got, and I see this happening all the time, folks that may be working for you, but they're also working for Uber or Lyft or some other organization and company that's paying them the $20 an hour, $25 an hour. So again, when I talk about wage pressures, that's the pressure that you're dealing with. Right? You think, oh heck, I can hire someone and pay them $20 an hour, but you got Uber over here that says, well, come work for us, drive a little bit, we'll give you $20, $25 an hour, and you can do this on your own time when you want to do it. So I think we have to be exceptionally creative in terms of the benefit packages that we offer, have to be creative in terms of the type of work we provide, and the ability to grow in that job, in that position, so that it doesn't appear to be just a job, but that we reposition it so that it can be more of a career.
And Jerome, I totally agree with you. And I think the other thing is also right now, more than ever, I think the culture of the organization is very critical. So that now you really take care of your people better. Back to exactly what you're saying about being creative, right? Give them more flexibility. Let them kind of try new projects in your organization, right? So that maybe you have a new idea. Give this idea to them. Let them play with it. They might maybe come with a better way of how you do things versus the business owner himself. The other thing, of course, is if your business can support outsourcing or outtasking, which sometimes put pressure on your existing statement of works and playbooks. So how can you adjust and optimize your playbooks? Or it will also bring more emphasis on what kind of technology and HR platform that help me in onboarding, training, full-time employees, part-time employees, and independent consultant. Oh, and by the way, can this onboarding platform plug into all my other system, all my ERP system or financial system as well? So again, it's as you said exactly, Jerome. It's the people, the process, which part of it is the culture of the organization, but also the technology. Can the technology plug in all of this in a single place so that as a business leader, I don't want to be opening 5 or 6 different platforms to manage my full-time team member and my remote worker as well? Is there a way that I can see everything? Can I generate payroll and pay stub from that platform, which is exactly the same platform where I can see my profitability, which is exactly the same platform that I have my CRM and my marketing and my e-commerce and so on and so forth. Oh, and by the way, can this platform be easily accessible? Because I don't want to open a VPN and then the VPN is down. I'm working remotely today. I need access to reporting. I have a board of directors meeting tomorrow morning. I'm in a panic situation. So I just want to summarize by saying it's exactly as you said, people, process, and technology. So as a business leader, really, your mission, if you choose to accept it, again, Tom Cruise, is executive alignment and removing friction from your operation as much as you can, especially during the interesting time. So in closing, I know we're exactly on the time. Jerome, I want to personally thank you so much for actually coming today and kind of educating. I personally learned a lot. John, thank you for your advice on some of the slides. I really appreciate it. That was amazing. And for everybody else who joined today and whoever is looking at the recording, we are here to help. We work with Jerome as a CFO, a fractional CFO. He helped with a lot of organization. Us as Flawless and Bound, we help clients in the US and Canada if you're looking for a platform that can take you maybe from your traditional QuickBooks, Sage system, or Xero, and you want maybe a more enhanced platform like NetSuite. We can help in the whole data migration, building the report in the system function, and hand it over to your CFO. Thank you, team, and I hope it was a good session. And thank you all for joining today. Looking forward for future sessions. Thank you, Jerome.
Thank you, Jerome and Seher.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye for now.
Guys. There's a lot to learn.
Bye for now.
See you soon.